What's up, everybody? How's it going? And welcome to the Mina channel. Today we have a discussion video here that actually I'm taking this video based on comments from a previous video that I did about 3 years ago, which was a video talking about the difference, or like talking about clones for Persona. And while I was making the video, although I was really knowledgeable a lot about JRPGs, I think I had the wrong mentality on that particular video, because there are a lot of games that are like Persona, but are not necessarily clones. I think the clone is a pretty strict word that refers to specific kind of games that are really taking the idea of a game and stealing it. On the other hand, there's games that can be inspired to a certain degree, but they really manage to take those particular games and they just kind of do something with them. So today we're going to talk about 5 games that I feel like are like Persona, but they really do their own thing with their mechanics and everything. And all of them, although I don't particularly feel they're really a lot like Persona, a lot of the mechanics work similar to Persona, and I feel like that's a good thing. So my idea for this video is to try to recommend some games to other Persona fans, fans that are kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'll play Persona 5 or I'll play Persona games, and I want to get into other games. And obviously, the really obvious one is play Shin Megami Tensei games, right? But a lot of people are really just not into Shin Megami Tensei, or they already play Shin Megami Tensei, and they want to play other JRPG series that are out there that are really similar or pretty interesting, that are into the kind of same aspects of it. So I asked Twitter to give me some recommendations as well. So at the end of all this, I'm gonna mention some bonus, which are Twitter recommended aspects of everything. So we'll see how that works over there. Obviously, Twitter can be a little bit an interesting mixed bag. So some of those games that are on Twitter, I didn't particularly play them myself, so I can't say much about them, or I don't feel like they fit the same way that I think that some other do. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it with number 5. And number 5 is actually gonna be Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. Now, Yakuza 7 is Yakuza Like a Dragon is a series that's been out for a long time, since like the PlayStation 2, right? So how is it like Persona? Well, particularly Like a Dragon is a turn-based RPG that does have a lot of character interaction. In fact, it actually has something called the drinking links, a la social links kind of stuff, although they work very differently. As far as this series, the series Yakuza from 1 to 6 are nothing like Persona. They're entirely different, but 7 does use a lot of JRPG elements because the main protagonist is a fan of Dragon Quest. So what it does is it takes a mixture of a lot of different JRPGs like Final Fantasy, Like a Dragon, obviously Persona and Final Fantasy, and it kind of meshes them all together to make a really interesting JRPG. I think that I have never played an RPG that is so in love with JRPGs like Yakuza Like a Dragon. I think that this game, what it does is trying to convey a JRPG sense, a modern JRPG, by using different mechanics and stuff. Like I mentioned before, it does use a lot of the drinking links kind of stuff. It is open world like other Yakuza games, and it does allow for more freedom in that aspect. The turn-based RPG is straight up, like does have some mechanics from Persona. It has some mechanics from the Final Fantasy games. It has some mechanics from Dragon Quest. This game knows JRPGs like the back of its hand, and it utilizes them for its advantage. So moving up a number 4, we have Tokyo XANADU EX. Now this game is a game that I have played, I have not finished it. However, a lot of people in my comments in the previous game that video that I did, a lot of them commented that this game should be in the list. Now, why should it be on the list? Now, personally speaking, I don't think that this game is a clone of Persona, because a lot of people commented on there, but it does have, and it does resemble the different aspects. It does handle a candlelit-based activities things. It is based on like students, that go to school. They have these weapons that they unlock, and they go to dungeons to solve this grand scheme thing of things that is going on. It is very different in a lot of aspects because it is a hack and slash type of RPG. It is very much action oriented, and it does focus a lot on the action side. However, at the same time, although it is not turn based, it does have a lot of the Persona-esque mechanics, such as, you know, like going into the town and doing activities throughout the day. You can get part-time jobs, you can hang out with your friends, you can develop relationships with them. There's a lot of different mechanics that are very much similar to how Persona does it. However, one thing that Tokyo XANADU EX does good is the fact that they try to make it their own. It's not just copying mechanics, but the way that they approach certain interactions, the way that they do the part-time job aspects. There's all the different aspects that they do it very much to themselves. It's not like a one-to-one replication, but it really does adapt mechanics that it makes you feel like you're playing a different game. And Tokyo XANADU is extremely different from Persona, but at the same time, those mechanics really make you feel, oh yeah, it does have some mechanics that looks or feel like Persona. So definitely a great game. Check it out if you haven't already. I'm still playing through it. I just haven't have a pile of games to play through, but it is a fantastic game, and they does have a lot of characters that I feel like you'll fall in love with the more you play it. So moving up at number 3. So the next one is going to be Caligula Effect. And the Caligula Effect 2 is actually coming out pretty soon in the West. It already came out in Japan. But these two games are interesting because not only are they like Persona, they are made by the creator of Persona 1 and 2, so it does have some stuff that makes them unique, but at the same time, it does have some mechanics that are pretty similar to Mega 10 or Persona games. So, what are these games? So, these games actually focus on also the school aspect. There is a school. These are students. However, their methodology behind the gameplay is significantly different. It is a turn-based RPG that is more on the strategic side. It does focus a lot on how you want to handle battles in different ways. The positioning and tactical aspects matter a lot. However, it does have also a social aspect to this game where you can hang out with different people, the different characters in the party that you meet along the way. They join, and you can kind of have these interactions and everything. These games are definitely a mixed bag. I'm particularly not a super fan of them. However, I know a lot of people that are into these games. They do have some cool aspects of them. I'm not gonna say that these games are complete garbage, because it does have some aspects that are pretty cool. However, at the same time, there are some aspects that I don't feel like click super well. The second game promises to fix a lot of the issues from the first game, so we'll see about that. I followed a lot about the gameplay and how it looks so far, and it does look like a different cool kind of game. So if you're interested in Caligula Effect, check it out. It's not definitely a bad game per se. Again, it does do a lot of mechanics different from Persona, but it is also close enough to Persona to say, yeah, it is a game that is like Persona. It does feel, in a lot of aspects, like another Persona type of game. So it's an interesting game for sure. So moving up at number 2, this one is definitely not one that I'll say particularly screams to me Persona per se, but it does at the same time have a lot of mechanics that are a little bit like Persona, although they definitely do their own thing with that. And this one is not a clone whatsoever, anything like that. I'm not claiming that it is, so don't attack me there. But it does feel in a lot of aspects like its own thing, but I feel like a Persona fan will admire these games. And this is the Fire Emblem games, particularly Three Houses. Now, Three Houses is an interesting game because it does have the school aspect. You do, instead of being a student, you're a teacher, and you're kind of training the students to become, they're like the royalty per se. They literally are like kings, queens, princesses, like you name it. They are like part of this upperclassmen, upper chain of the royalty kind of thing. But at the same time, you do have relationships with them. You kind of get to know them. Your choices really do matter a lot of these games. You get all this kind of crazy endings based on who you chose to side with and everything. And at the same time, there is a interesting aspect that is nothing like Persona, which is the gameplay. The gameplay is a tactical RPG, nothing like turn-based RPG, but it does have all kinds of different combinations. It's really in-depth for a game that does have a lot of social aspects like the dating sim and the interaction with different characters. This game does have a big focus on gameplay and the tactical aspect. That's why I said it's not necessarily a lot like Persona, but it's pretty cool, and it is definitely a game worth playing. It does have a calendar aspect. You can travel around the city that you visit. The city being like a school kind of thing, really, not like a cities, but still pretty interesting stuff. And it is definitely a game worth playing. It's only on Nintendo Switch, but I know a lot of you guys play Nintendo games, so check it out if you haven't already, because it's definitely a cool game to check out. And my number 1 game on the games is Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Now, This game is definitely in the list for the one thing and one thing alone. The gameplay is the same. It's 100% the same. It's a game made by Atlas. It does have mechanics from both Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, and this game was made as a mixture between both Fire Emblem and Mega 10. So this has a lot of the cool aspects that they kind of merge well together. One of the things is this game is entirely story driven from the perspective of characters, so character development and character interaction is a biggie here. If you're a fan of games like Persona or Fire Emblem, I feel like you will definitely admire this game for where it is. It does have a big focus on the idol aspect, so you know, J-pop, you know, idol singers and that kind of stuff. So this game does have some things that are a lot like Persona, but also does its own thing, like the whole idol aspect. You practice, you sing, you dance, that kind of stuff. It's just really kind of weird. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff, but at the same time, it does have the dungeon crawling aspect with a lot of the Mega 10 mechanics, like the usual gameplay aspect from Persona games and from Shin Megami Tensei games is here. So if you like the gameplay of Mega 10 and Persona, this is definitely a game to check out because it's one-to-one, really the same kind of stuff. But at the same time, it does have a social aspect. It does have students, you know, hanging out, dating kind of stuff, and it does have an idol aspect, right? I think a lot of people are into that kind of stuff. Also, another game to check out is definitely a good game, and it's definitely something different. I think if you want to step up from the usual RPGs, this game really tries to do its own thing. So moving up into some kind of bonus aspect there, I'm just gonna mention a couple of games here that some people have mentioned. I have talked about them before, and I don't really have much to say about them, so I'm just gonna wanna mention them just in case you're interested in them, and you can check them out on your own time, kind of find out what they are and everything. Monarch is a game made by the original creator of Shin Megami Tensei Eve, which is their first school-based JRPG, which originally that's what the Persona games are based off of. Another game is Blue Reflection. This is a magical girl RPG, which is also kind of like students. You have the social interaction aspect. It has a lot of different cool aspects. Mind Zero, which is a ripoff of Persona 3. Conception, which is a games which are also very much based off of Persona 3 and Persona 4. It does have a lot of weird interactions here where you have like children with other teenagers, and they then again use those children to fight bosses and stuff. It's a really weird kind of game. Check it out. And then you have Digimon, particularly Cyber Sleuth. I've not played this game. I actually just got it today, so I'm gonna play that game. And then you have one game that I don't feel like it really fits here, but a lot of people actually mentioned it to me, and that was The World Ends With You and Neo The World Ends With You. I don't see why this one is in the list, but Twitter people told me that they feel like this game is like Persona, so I'm mentioning it here. I don't think like it's like Persona. It's pretty much its own thing. I think the only thing is like it has a cool, stylish aspect, which is to resemble of something like Persona 5. However, I don't really see much of a difference between this one and something like Persona. It's very different kind of game, so I'm just mentioning it because some people mention it on Twitter here, and again, these are Twitter choices and everything. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this, guys. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments down below what you think about any of the games that I mentioned. Do you agree or disagree with them? And do you have any other suggestions for people that are interested on Persona games or games like Persona? Anyway, thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.